Hi there YouTube, my name is Simon and I make astrological videos and post them on the internet. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you part 3 of the series that I've been recently doing called the Zodiac series. It's something that I've been really excited to be bringing through to you guys, and I hope that you've enjoyed part 1 and part 2. Part 3 is the sort of like next building block in the process, and it's kind of my one of the funnest, I can say, or the most enjoyable one to share with everybody whenever I'm teaching about this, because there's so much like relatability to it in our own lives, particularly what I'm doing with you guys right now. For any of you guys that are just watching this for the first time, please go over to the part 1 page or part 1 video and watch from there. It kind of links in everything over there. And for any of you guys that have just, that you've joined now for part 3, thank you very much for coming back. I truly appreciate all the sort of help and interest that you guys have in wanting to learn about the nature of reality through astrology. If you guys enjoyed the content, hit the like button and subscribe if you guys want more of this, because this is what I'm going to be bringing through for you guys. And write comments on below of what you guys want me to talk about and understand the nature of reality that is reflected through the constellations. Okay? So today, the Mutable Grand Cross. Okay, Mutable Grand Cross is all about learning and growth and direction. It is literally the sort of like final process within the story that I was sharing with you guys earlier, which in fact I'll begin with right now. The story that I started in part 1, can you remember, was about the cardinal cross, inertia, energy, beginnings, breaking through, starting new life. And then you have the fixed quadrant, which was about sustainability and maintainability and survival, etc., etc. So it was the tree trunk. The tree is now the tree is now grown, its stem, etc., etc. And now it's got to a point where it can't just go up. It has to sort of like find direction. And this is where mutable energy comes from. Mutable energy is about change. Okay, right? So the sort of evolutionary pattern establishes itself as growing, and eventually gets to a point where it says, "Hold on, guys, we can't just be going in one direction. We've got to sort of branch off." Which is why in a tree you see the expression of branching off, many different roots. Mutable energy, super cool, hey? So that's exactly what happens. The tree branches off into different areas and covers all aspects of it to understand the nature of creation totality. So this is what mutable energy is about. Mutable energy has got 4 signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, okay? And as you guys know, with all the previous videos that I've been doing, I'll just give you a little sort of like explanation of the archetypes themselves. Remember that these are very sort of broad perspectives, but are the deepest sort of manifestations of them, to help with later on with the video. But if you guys are interested in knowing more about the nature of these archetypes in the in-depth process, write the comments below. I'm going to be making videos later on within the year, obviously, to sort of share this type of stuff. And so yeah. So Gemini, as you guys know, information, okay? Gemini correlates to the energy, firstly, that is going outwards again. So remember, Aries is going outwards to establish itself, or to find itself, etc., etc., to begin stuff. Taurus then comes back and it says, okay, look what I've gathered, etc., etc., what can we do? Information and Gemini correlates specifically to going back out again, and it's the word of mouth. It's the left brain, and it's also relating to the sense of ideas and sharing them. Connection. That's like one of the best ways that I can share with Gemini. Gemini is about connection because it's connecting the dots and seeing how they sort of work with the interwebs. Okay. So information in our world is how it works, and we sort of put information together to create a sentence that allows us to get a deeper perspective. And that's the sort of like Sag, Virgo, Pisces archetype there, which I'll share with you guys. But if you have a look at a leaf, for instance, there's a network of sort of like fibers that all sort of branch off into different areas. And there you can see that mutable cross and fixed cross and the cardinal cross again, because you see the sort of main lines within the leaf. Okay, and then you sort of see branching out into different areas, but they're all making connections. Pretty cool, hey? So in human condition relatability, information, gathering information, okay? And one of the best ways that I can explain that this works is like this continuous circles that just keep on going around and around and around. And if you guys watch a program called Spirit Science, they actually got this concept really, really well, in the sense that they're using the flower of life, or as how everything connects. And if you look at the Fibonacci sequence as well, you also see everything connects at some point. So the constellations just reflect this energy, and that's why it exists in reality. So it's that cool. So Virgo is the next process, and Virgo will speak about allowing us to find order in this chaos. And my Virgos out there, I love you so much, but one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you guys over there is to remain calm within the chaos over there, because instinctively within your consciousness you have the ability to put everything in the most beautiful sort of places. Like the organization consciousness within you is so strong. It's just about connecting to that space, calming down, and realizing that your job is to actually take chaos and put it into a sort of like manageable place, right? It's the relationship between Pisces and Virgo that allows that to happen. So if any of you Virgos that are watching that over there know that your process within consciousness is to put things in order, right? And there's a great example of how that process works. We've gathered loads of information. I'm saying lots of things. I've got everything jumbled up. And it's like, how do I make sense of this? And Virgo comes along like Superman and goes, okay, right, we're sorting this stuff out. We're putting this over here. That goes there. This is categorized over here because we need to be clean. It needs to be pure. A lot of misconceptions about Virgos are like this sort of like cleaning process in consciousness that is reflected through the human condition. Okay, I'm going to go really, really deep over here, but I hope you guys understand this. And if you're not, just write in the comments below. But Virgo, like I said, is represented with that picture over there, right? That organization, to find clarity, to find a sense of what is in reality, and to find organization. But in the human condition, we have created a reality in which we express that as like needing to clean. Whereas it's so wasted when it comes to the nature of Virgo in a way, because it's about, I mean, it's not really wasted actually, to be honest, because it's all organization and making things look neat and tidy, etc., etc. But it can get so frustrating for them, of course, because it's looking at all the imperfections and needing to put them right. And we've developed a life where that sort of like is emphasized a lot. So that's why a lot of Virgos feel that sort of like intense energy. And I myself have got some Virgo in my charts as well, and I'm talking from direct experience at least. So Virgo, it's about putting the things into sort of like a sort of categorized place, and for us that don't have Virgo to make sense of things. So thank you very much. Sag is awesome. Sag allows us to understand the nature of what is probably the most difficult truth for a lot of people to accept. And obviously I myself came through to this experience through my own sort of like life. And this is why I feel that I have a really, really strong grounded understanding of what I'm about to say to you guys. But Sagittarius inherently is teaching us the nature of different realities, different truths being relative for that person. That truth for themselves is that for them, and it will be different for another person. And being able to integrate that within consciousness whenever you are relating. So this picture over here is such an awesome picture to captivate what I'm trying to say. Okay. Different truths relative to different for everybody. Everybody has their own personal truth. So if you look at that picture over there, you've got all these millions of little sort of like colors going all in different directions. And imagine that each pencil represents a person, their own personal truth, their own personal understanding of how they are interpreting their reality and how their lives have shaped that. Okay, that's every single person. And then you look at the colors, and that being their personal truths. Can you see now why Sagittarius relates to multi-cultures? Can you see why we have different cultures having different beliefs and different understandings, and why we have religion the way that it is? Your truth is better than my truth. Sorry, the other way around. Why is, your truth needs to be sort of shoved away? And it's such a great example because we have so many wars about different religions. Ultimately, the connection between Pisces and Sag is saying everything's connected, so why are we having an argument? It's because we haven't evolved to the point yet of understanding that everybody's truths are intuitive and inherently different and specific to their own. And it's about relating to that truth and finding the balance that allows us to find some peace in that process, and that we're all connected. And I think that's a lot of the sort of like Pisces Neptune transit that's going to be taking place for the next 14 years, where we're going to actually find out the meaning in that symbolism. But everybody's truths being unique and different, and that's what that represents. Okay, different cultures having different ways of cooking food and interacting with that as well. That's what Sag does. It's the transmigration of thoughts and processes in consciousness that allows the Sag energy to work. The connection between Gemini and Sag. Yeah. And finally, Pisces. Pisces, the energy of interconnectedness, the totality of everything, the spiritual consciousness, the transcendence of all limitations, what is. And it's a beautiful understanding, and it's 360 degrees. It's the last sign of the zodiac. It contains all the energy, and it's also a culmination energy and balsamic energy. So that's why you'll see a lot of Pisces energy will be seen, is sort of attuning to the spiritual consciousness within our reality, transcending the limitations of this world and connecting to something way out, far out. So that's why a lot of people with strong Pisces energies will have that experience of sort of interacting within their world here on Earth in a very difficult way, because Pisces energy transcends and dissolves matter, right? So what we're having here is like staying in reality, but not being able to stay in reality because the energy is transcending it, spacing out. It's going into a different galaxy, a different cosmos. And this is a great example of Pisces in itself. And you know that saying, rose-tinted glasses? Well, this is the Pisces energy. This is where it comes from. Because in reality, remember, I'm going to share with you guys right now something that's pretty cool. In reality, remember, relative to your own, whatever reality is existing, right? So, as an example, gravity exists. We can't just simply jump out the window and expect ourselves to live. The reality of the situation is you're going to fall, you're going to hurt yourself or even die, okay? But you could be deluded about the process and think you're Superman and jump out there and then come to reality and go, okay, this was not the case. I'm not Superman, I can't fly. The Pisces interaction within reality is this thing. It's like delusion, illusions. It's not being able to see what is clearly in front of you through this murky experience. So that's Pisces, that energy over there. So I'm going to show you guys how this works in reality. So we go to the mutable cross, for instance, and as you guys know, if you've been following our channels, that is exactly what they look like. Sag connects to Pisces, connects to Gemini, and connects to Virgo. And in the totality of consciousness, this operates in this way. We're basically seeing this energy manifesting. We gather information, right? So we walk into a room, we identify things, we give them names, Gemini, okay? That's a chair, that's a table, this is a person, that's where I go sit, etc., etc. And then what we do is we evolve to process. We put it into organized categories, right? So we say, okay, a chair and a table and a sofa all relates to things that are in a lounge, okay? And say, for instance, more so in a lounge because we know that a sofa is not something you find in a kitchen. So a lounge, okay? So Virgo comes along, and then what we do is we connect to Sag and we sort of find our place within that process. Where do we belong? Where is it that we want to journey to get to that place? And then eventually we get to Pisces, and it's sort of like we've finished the process. Now, the Pisces energy within that process isn't really sort of well defined, but what I'm trying to say with the Pisces connection in this whole process is finding that everything is connected to everything. The chair is something that is lying on a floor, which is part of the apartment, which is part of the sort of block that the apartment is on, which is part of the city, which is part of the country, which is part of the globe, which is part of the universe. Do you get the point I'm trying to make? Pisces transcends the limitations and knows how everything is connected in that way, right? So what we do is, understanding that cross and understanding that within consciousness, we can then get to how they work within individual processes. Now, remember I spoke about religion, okay? So truths are personal truths, Sagittarius, that you have gathered, okay? So your personal truth, what is intuitively how you've experienced your own life, and what is personal truth for you, okay? Now remember, part of that process is only your personal truth. It is not the totality of the truth, which means that when you are interacting with Pisces, you can be deluded about what your truth is, okay, in some way. The connection between Pisces and Sag asks us to understand this notion, to understand that within our lives, we can fall into that category, okay, of finding that what we've believed in might not necessarily be true, okay? It's not in reality, remember, Pisces. And a great example of how this actually exists in reality is those symbols that you see over there. Can you see everybody's different truths? What's interesting about that? Everything all relates to the same thing, a deeper sense of self, right? Okay, all the symbols, all the religions are all speaking about a God, all speaking about sort of self-awareness and a way of living, etc., etc. All of them have got the same sort of binding code, but yet they're all different. They've all been defined differently. Okay, I can actually share with you guys how this works in reality. If you have a look, you're seeing the crossover there. Those symbols represent something. Gemini, you identified it. Virgo, you can see everything's categorized into a sort of thing. You know that the Christians have this sort of way of being, and that has that way of being, and they exist here, etc., etc. They're all kind of categorized. And then you've got the Sag. Christians have their own beliefs of this. Judaizers have this belief. Spiritual has this belief. You know, etc., etc. You get what I'm trying to say. So this mutable cross actually exists in there. Can you see the diversity? Can you see how the mutable axis is working? Hold on, guys. We can't just stay on one. We've got to find diversity, right? Pretty cool. So if you click onto this one over here, and that works there. Okay. This is kind of an interesting thing, because I'm going to build on the fact that, say for instance, we have a belief system or we gather information. Okay. Large part of that process is not being able to take that information on as gospel. You've got to sort of do the Virgo work here, which is to identify what is real and what isn't real. Okay, because remember, Pisces it can delude us. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to invoke our Virgo energy, and we've got to find what the information we have gathered to be true. Is it real for us? Does it have a sense of purpose? Where is it connected to? So that picture that I've showed you over there is the connection between the connection between Virgo, Gemini, and Sag. Okay, the Virgo part in that process is making sure that the information that you've gathered is a truth that is in reality, that is not just separate. Okay, so Virgo comes in here and secures that process. It analyzes it, says, hang on, this is not real, or it's that process within consciousness of Sag, Gemini, and Virgo that creates that picture that you see over there, making sure that security, defending yourself from illusions and delusions that exists within that Pisces archetype. So if we flip it over, let's see what happens when we get Pisces. Okay, so you've got Pisces and Virgo interacting with each other. They're completely opposite from each other, and they work within consciousness to create the very thing that you see over there. Reality, Virgo, as we know, what exists. Imagination, Pisces. So reality leaves a lot to the imagination. That exists within reality because it's the very interaction within those constellations. Pisces has Virgo in it. It needs it. Okay, everything works on a dualistic nature, right? And the same with Virgo. Virgo has some Pisces in it. Okay, it can't be too linear. Remember, Virgo is a sort of like linear experience of things. It needs to put things in categories and orders, etc., etc. And Pisces comes and dissolves it and says, "Hang on, guys, we need a little bit of flexibility." But you can't have too much flexibility. So that's where Virgo comes in. So it's reality and imagination that is that balance between Pisces and Virgo, and we invoke that within our consciousness. And remember, it's an opposition, so it's an energy field that we got to sort of like embrace and learn through. Okay, so that's why sometimes we can be deluded by something, and that's why disillusionment takes place, because of the process that of coming to reality, like I said with those glasses. Right, next picture. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is the connection between Gemini, Pisces, and Sag. Okay, so as you can see over here, there's another beautiful expression of this whole series. You've got Plato, which was the original birthing process of thoughts in this picture. You've got then Aristotle, Socrates, and Hegel as being this sort of like energy pattern, as you can see over there, is fixed energy. It's like sort of sustaining this energy. You know, let's keep it together. Let's make sure that the trunk is secure and safe and strong. And then you've got the branching out into the different perspectives that exist, right? Different people attaching to these truths. And that's actually a beautiful explanation of how all three of these crosses work within each other. But specifically, Sagittarius will relate to individual truths. Can you see individual represented by the different people? Gemini, their thoughts and processes. Okay, Pisces, and how it's going into different directions, but everything's connected to the same thing. Plato. Pretty cool, hey? Pretty cool. And again, like I said, with the totality of everything existing within our reality, we see a beautiful explanation. Words, Gemini, gathering information, okay, putting it there. Virgo coming along and putting everything in a sort of category so that we can see that belongs there, that belongs there, that belongs there, and it's clear. We're not deluded. It's not messy. It doesn't sort of like all over the place. It's in a sort of category that makes sense and is easy accessible. Okay, Sagittarius coming along and allowing for different truths to exist within that concept. And then Pisces coming along and everything sort of all connects to the same place, the one source of everything. That's why Pisces energy is related to source, because it's where everything began. It's the point of origin, as that were. So I think that's the last picture. This was something that was the relationship between Virgo and Gemini. And this is kind of cool, because remember I said to you guys about the security and how Virgo works within that process. Well, the relationship between Gemini and Virgo is the one where we gather information, then put it into order. Okay, and if you just reflect back on your own life and see how it works, right? You've got loads of icons on your desktop, and when you experience them as all over the place, right? Connect to that space. Does it feel messy? Does it feel sort of all over the place? What happens when you want to clean it up or refresh it? You use that Virgo energy to get stuck in, and that practical sort of like movements and organizations, etc., etc. So that's a great picture to show you the relationship between Gemini and Virgo, and how we gather information, then sort of analyze it and put it into perspective for us, so that we don't get disillusioned with the Virgo stuff. With the Pisces stuff. This is another great example of the relationship between Sag and Gemini. It's a really important aspect within consciousness. As you can see, who, what, where, when, why, how, questions and answers. The relationship dynamic between taking something that is Gemini, your own opinion, okay, and allowing that own opinion to be shared, communicated with another person, okay? Now remember, another person also has this dynamic existing within their consciousness, so they're also going to be sharing their own opinions. And so what happens is that when you look at this cross, look at it this way. You, Gemini, share your opinions, okay, about some facts that you might have, Virgo, which is in reality, or some sort of like spiritual talk, Pisces, and you're sharing these opinions, okay, with other people, and it's your truth. So your interaction with another person about the facts or something that's more spiritual or spacey, for instance, is a relationship between Gemini, Virgo, or Gemini, Pisces, and you're relating it to somebody else, another person's perspective, and that interaction then is the whole totality of this experience. Now, when you are interacting with somebody else, you've got to be making sure that you're using your Gemini Virgo thing. Is this factual? Is this real for me? Where do the boundaries lie, etc., etc.? And when you are experiencing it from another person as well, you're also experiencing the Pisces of being connected to somebody. They're sharing something with you that you are able to relate to, etc., etc. But you sometimes can't be relating to it at all. And that's why it's so funny when you see relationships or communication where people go, oh, I misunderstood you. I didn't understand what it was. It's that Pisces energy, right? Not being present, as it were, Virgo, etc., etc. I can go on forever and a day speaking about these things and how they manifest, but I'm going to sort of like end off over here. That picture that you see over there about who, what, where, and when is the relationship between Sag and Gemini. And it's really important because Sag, in order to get sort of like a clarity and a perspective on a person's sort of truths, you ask the questions, okay, who, what, where, and when, so that you can tune into what it is that they're talking about specifically. And it's the Gemini asking questions, gathering information, and it's the Virgo being able to find sort of a direction, etc., and understanding another person's truths. And you can see that it gives direction. And when you're looking at Sag to understand something, you're asking questions, and when you're looking at Gemini, you're looking to try and attach yourself to another person's truths. So it's that interaction within those constellations that allows us for that picture to actually exist in reality. Pretty cool, eh? Another great example over here, the interaction between Gemini and Pisces. As you can see, again, everything's just all muddled all over the place, and it's just like, you know, loads of mess and confusion. That's where confusion comes from between Pisces and Gemini, because it's like I said before, loads of information. We've just gathered information, but what does it actually mean? And that's when we call the Virgos on and the philosophers, the Sag, to get to the truth of it. What is the meaning of it, etc., etc. Right? And as you can see, again, coming back to the symbols and such. Okay, guys, I sincerely hope that was kind of insightful for you. Like I said, these video series are only created to sort of like invoke some sense of thinking and some thoughts and how you can see this in reality. Of course, there's so many more dynamics to talk about within this constellation. If you guys are interested in knowing more, write in the comments below. I like interacting with you guys. Hit the like and subscribe button if you want to know more about my stuff. And book a reading with me if you want to know how this is actually personally working with you as well. So yeah, I think that's about it for the grand crosses. I've covered all three of them. I'll start on the next series, or not the next series, but what I'm going to be going on to next is speaking about how three signs interact with each other. So for an example, I'll give you the Taurus interacting with Cancer, and then its relationship to Sag, and how that archetype exists within reality. And that's super fun, actually, to be honest, because a lot of insight can come from that experience. But until then, guys, thanks so much for taking the time to listen. I truly appreciate it. Share the content if you did enjoy it, and hit the like and subscribe button as well. Until then, take care. Bye.